Trump's New York conviction could continue even after election victory. With his return to the White House, Donald Trump has effectively put an end to the two cases in which he faces federal criminal charges. State cases against him for allegedly conspiring to rig the 2020 Georgia election will be put on hold until the end of his term, if they are still pending at the end of his term. But next week will determine the fate of the remaining cases, namely his conviction on 34 charges in New York. It may survive or be swept away by the same political and legal currents that allowed him to escape other enterprises. Judge Juan Merchan is due to decide by Tuesday whether to grant President Trump's request to overturn the conviction before the election. If Judge Merchan sides with Trump, his list of criminal problems will be almost entirely cleared. But if the judge upholds the sentence, sentencing will begin later this month. This will likely lead to further delay attempts by President Trump, opening a new and unprecedented front in the American criminal justice system. This is really new territory, says Anna Cominsky, a professor at New York Law School. In May, a New York jury found Trump guilty of falsifying business records. The conviction stemmed from Trump's attempt to cover up payments to former lawyer Michael Cohen, who paid a porn star in 2016 to keep quiet about an alleged sexual encounter with President Trump. Trump's lawyers argue that the charges and conviction should be thrown out because a recent U.S. Supreme Court ruling that granted the president some immunity from prosecution applies to certain aspects of the New York case. During the trial, Judge Merchan rejected Trump's lawyers' attempts to throw out the case on immunity grounds. But that was before the U.S. Supreme Court ruled in Trump's favor this summer and before he was apparently re-elected. Even if Judge Merchan upheld the conviction and the proposed sentence, the Trump campaign would almost certainly seek further delays and appeals. Todd Blanche, Trump's lead lawyer, did not respond to inquiries about whether he would seek a delay. Because Trump is distracted by the inauguration and the legal issues surrounding the president's conviction are complex, some experts say there is little chance the issue will remain on the agenda. I think the most likely outcome in the state lawsuit is that the judge will postpone sentencing until after President Trump takes office, said Daniel Charles Richman, a professor at Columbia Law School. If a sentence is actually imposed, it will raise a lot of thorny questions, including political questions, in the short term, he said. Even if Trump does appear in a Manhattan courtroom later this month, deciding his fate will still be an unprecedented challenge. Under the law, Trump faces a range of penalties, including fines, probation and up to 4 years in prison. But his imminent return to the White House makes many options less realistic. The conviction of a sitting president is probably one of the most complex and delicate sentencing decisions imaginable, Cominsky said. It's hard to imagine what kind of sentence could be imposed without undermining the president's ability to perform his duties or endangering his safety. Few expect Judge Merchan to sentence President Trump to prison at this point. He's a 78-year-old man with no criminal record who was convicted of a nonviolent crime, former New York Supreme Court Justice Dianne Kiesel said. I can't imagine that a judge would sentence someone eligible for these penalties to prison. Even if Judge Merchan were to seek such a sentence, the Trump campaign would almost certainly appeal, delaying any actual punishment. Trump could